How do you make a woman miss you? Maybe it's an ex-girlfriend you still think about. Maybe she's someone who's been pulling away lately, and you can feel that spark slipping through your fingers. Or maybe she's a woman you're still dating, and you just know that if she could feel your absence a little more, she'd value your presence 10 times higher. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're not talking about cheesy tricks or text her this one line nonsense. We're talking about real strategy, how to become the kind of man a woman can't stop thinking about when you're not around. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 powerful ways to make any girl miss you, and not just miss your texts, but miss your energy, your presence, your masculinity. We're going to break down what actually creates emotional gravity between a man and a woman, because the truth is, most guys have it completely backwards. See, most men think the way to get a woman to miss them is by constantly checking in, staying on her radar, or reminding her of good times. But that doesn't make her miss you. It makes you look like a man she doesn't need to take seriously. You become her safety net, her fallback, not the man she craves. The reason this happens is simple. Many men misunderstand female psychology. They assume that making her feel good all the time will make her want to stay. But here's the part most guys don't understand. Women aren't addicted to comfort. They're addicted to emotional experience. If you want her to miss you, you have to create that emotional variety. Tension, space, anticipation, not just positivity. So today, I'm going to share 5 counterintuitive strategies that flip everything you thought you knew and make you unforgettable to her. Let's get into it. Before we start the video, I want to remind you that my exclusive online course on mastering the dating game is available now. If you've been learning from my YouTube videos, you're only scratching the surface. This course goes deeper, teaching you everything you need to know about the dating game, from approaching a woman to building real attraction. We just finished section 5 in the course, and you won't find this information on videos on my channel. It's easy to access with a secure payment option. Visit stoicapproachtolife.podia.com or click the link in the description to enroll now and improve your dating life. 1. Move first, not late. One of the biggest mistakes men make when trying to make a woman miss them is waiting until she pulls away. They wait for the energy to change, for the text to slow down, for the affection to fade, and then they react. But by the time you start pulling back, it's already too late. She's emotionally checked out. That's why the smartest men know how to move first. Moving first means you sense the shift before she even realizes it. You sense the imbalance. You feel when the dynamic is starting to lean too far in her favor. And instead of clinging or adjusting to her emotional temperature, you pull back while you're still on top. You take a step back when your presence is still valued. That's what makes the absence powerful. Because she feels it. She notices the drop in energy while she still cares, not after she's gone numb. Most guys want to be patient. They think if they just hang on a little longer, she'll come back around. But this only reinforces the image of a man waiting for her lead. A man who's reactive instead of intentional. That's never attractive. Now imagine this. You've been seeing a woman for a few weeks. Things have been fun, flirtatious, and flowing. But then you start to feel her getting just a little too comfortable. Maybe she's taking longer to reply. Maybe she starts canceling plans last minute. Most men would double down. Let me show her how much I care. Let me prove I'm serious. Instead, you take a different route. You cut things short after a great date. Not in a cold way, but on your terms. You tell her you've got a few things to handle and won't be as available for a few days. You're not punishing her, you're just moving first. And that silence, that shift she didn't expect, starts working on her mind. She replays the last interaction, wondering if something changed. She checks her phone more than usual. And now, you're the one she's thinking about, because you had the strength to move first. This doesn't mean disappearing without reason. It means being self-aware enough to step back while she's still emotionally engaged. That's how you maintain the upper hand. Not by chasing her approval, but by protecting your value before she starts questioning it. Men who move first control the tone of the connection. And women remember that shift, because it wasn't forced, it was felt. 2. Exit while you're still wanted. Most men don't understand the power of timing when it comes to making a woman miss them. They stick around too long. They wait until things are already unraveling before they pull back. And when they finally do, it's obvious. It feels reactive. It comes from a place of insecurity, not power. But if you want to leave a lasting impression, you need to learn how to exit while she still wants you there. This is one of those things that feels completely unnatural at first. As men, we're often taught to see things through or to hang in there until the very end. But with women, the end isn't where the emotional imprint is made. It's in the space you leave behind and how you leave it. If you wait until she's emotionally distant, your absence won't hit her. It'll feel like a relief. But if you leave when she's still emotionally engaged, that's when she feels it. That's when she starts to wonder, replay, miss. The truth is, you have to be strong enough to walk away while things are still good. That's what sticks in her mind. Not the guy who held on too long and tried to fix everything with over-explaining or over-communicating. No, it's the man who walked away without bitterness, without neediness, while he still had her interest. That's the man who stays on her mind. It's not about ghosting or punishing her. It's about understanding the value of your presence and leaving before she starts taking it for granted. And here's the thing, she will take it for granted if you don't know when to leave. That's just human nature. The more predictable and constant you are, the more she gets used to you, and the less impact your presence has. So ask yourself, do you want to be the man she fades away from? Or the man she remembers because he left a little too soon? Women don't miss what overstayed its welcome. They miss the moments that ended too soon. They miss the man who exited while the connection was still strong, not the one who stayed around, hoping to reignite something that had already died. Walking away while she still wants more takes confidence. It takes emotional discipline. But the effect it has is undeniable. When you learn to leave on your terms, not when you're forced to, you become unforgettable. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about never giving her the chance to watch your value decline. Leave her wanting more. That's how you stay in her mind long after you're gone. 3. Stay mysterious and stir emotions. If you're always an open book, there's nothing left to read. That's the problem most men run into without even realizing it. They believe that honesty means full transparency. That being a good guy means laying it all out, answering every question, explaining every move. But what they don't see is that this constant openness drains all the emotional tension from the connection. There's no mystery, no curiosity, nothing to chase. Women aren't drawn to men they fully understand. They're drawn to men who make them feel, not just think. And mystery is what creates that emotional movement. It's not about being secretive or evasive. It's about holding something back. Not in a deceptive way, but in a way that keeps you unpredictable. A man who's too obvious, too easy to read, never captures a woman's full attention. You've probably felt it before. That moment when a woman suddenly loses interest after you've told her everything. You thought you were building closeness by sharing more. But what really happened was you removed the tension. You gave her all the answers, and with that, took away the emotional intrigue. The truth is, the less she knows, the more she feels. That doesn't mean you're playing games. It means you're not trying to constantly reassure her or seek approval through explanation. You're secure in who you are. You're okay with not revealing every thought or feeling right away. That quiet self-control, that emotional restraint, is what creates mystery. And here's the part most men overlook. Mystery triggers emotion. It causes her to question, to imagine, to analyze. And that emotional engagement is what keeps her connected even when you're not around. If she doesn't feel anything when you're gone, there's nothing to miss. But when you leave her with questions, when your absence is filled with curiosity and unresolved emotion, you become more than just a memory. You become a mental loop she keeps replaying. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about understanding that emotional impact doesn't come from constant communication. It comes from strategic silence, from allowing her mind to wander, wonder, and want. That's where the pull is created. A man who knows how to stir emotion without saying too much has power. Not because he's manipulative, but because he's mastered self-containment. He doesn't hand over his full identity in the first few conversations. He reveals himself over time, piece by piece, on his terms. So if you want her to miss you, don't just give her presents. Give her something to think about when you're not around. Leave a little space in her mind that only you occupy. Not because you're constantly there, but because part of you always feels just out of reach. 4. Let her feel she's not the only one. There's a certain shift that happens when a woman senses she has no competition. She relaxes. She becomes less intentional. She stops putting in effort, not because she's cold, but because she knows she doesn't need to fight for your attention. See, most men think that showing loyalty and undivided focus will make her appreciate them more. But what actually happens is the opposite. She becomes secure, not in the relationship, but in her power over you. And once she knows there's no one else you could be interested in, she stops valuing the connection the same way. That energy of "I could lose him" is gone, and with it, the tension that keeps her emotionally engaged. Now, this isn't about being dishonest. It's not about pretending you're out here dating multiple women if you're not. This is about understanding that your time, your attention, your presence, those are currencies. And if she feels like she already owns all of it, there's no drive to earn it anymore. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to flaunt anything. But your energy should always communicate that you have options, even if you're not pursuing them. That you're a man who's desired. That your world doesn't revolve around one woman, no matter how beautiful or special she is. This mindset alone changes everything. Because when a woman senses you're not locked into her emotionally, that she's not the only one lighting up your world, something changes in her. She gets alert. She becomes more conscious of her behavior. She reevaluates how much effort she's putting in. And most importantly, she starts to wonder if she could lose you. That wondering is where missing begins. If she's certain you're always going to be there, there's nothing to long for. But when you create just enough space for doubt, not distrust, but uncertainty, you spark something deeper. That emotional spark is what brings her back into the moment. It's what reminds her that she doesn't control the connection. And that's where her desire to connect actually grows. The men who struggle the most with being missed are the ones who place all their focus on one woman way too early. They close all their options, they become predictable, and they make it obvious that they've already made their choice. And while that seems romantic, it almost always leads to complacency. The truth is simple. If she believes she's the only one who could have you, she'll stop trying to keep you. But if she senses, even slightly, that she could lose your attention, she'll start craving it more. Make her feel chosen, not by default, but by decision. That's the difference that creates emotional weight in your absence. 5. Break the mold. One of the most powerful ways to make a woman miss you is also one of the most overlooked. Don't be like every other guy she's ever dealt with. That might sound obvious, but most men don't realize how deeply they're stuck in the same patterns women have seen 1,000 times before. Texting too much. Seeking validation. Always being available. Constantly explaining themselves. Following her lead instead of setting their own. And because of that, nothing about them feels memorable. When a man fits the mold, he blends in. He might be nice, polite, even attractive, but he's forgettable. Women don't miss forgettable. They miss the men who challenged their assumptions, who surprised them, who made them feel something different. Breaking the mold means you don't give her the same emotional experience she's used to. You don't respond to everything with the same tone she's already predicted. You're not always nice in the way most guys are. You're honest. You're grounded. You're real. You're not afraid to disagree. You don't fake interest just to keep her engaged. You show up as you are, and you let her feel the difference. And that difference is what sticks with her. Let's say she shares a story expecting sympathy or validation, something she's used to getting from guys who just want to impress her. But instead of rushing to comfort her or overreacting, you simply listen calmly, respond with honesty, and don't try to impress her with fake empathy. You don't get pulled into her emotional state. You hold your own frame. That one moment is small, but powerful. It signals that you're not like the rest. You're not here to win points. You're here to be yourself. Women remember that. They don't always say it, but they feel it. And when you eventually pull back or give her space, she'll feel that absence more deeply. Not because of what you did, but because of who you were in that space. You weren't a copy. You weren't another guy in line. You were something unexpected, solid, centered, and unapologetically different. Too many men try to be what they think women want. But here's the truth. Women don't miss men who follow the script. They miss the ones who rewrote it. The ones who didn't try too hard. Who weren't afraid to challenge, question, or walk away. The ones who had a presence that disrupted the usual flow. So if you want her to think about you when you're not around, don't give her what she expects. Give her something real. Be the man who doesn't check every box. Be the one who breaks the mold. 6. Set the rhythm, don't chase it. One of the most attractive traits a man can have is control. Not control over her, but control over himself. Over his time, his emotions, and most importantly, the rhythm of the connection. Too many men give that control away. They start by leading, but as soon as they get emotionally invested, they begin to react. They speed up when she slows down. They reach out more when she pulls back. And just like that, they're no longer setting the tone. They're chasing hers. When a woman senses that she sets the pace, she relaxes. She knows she's in the driver's seat. But when you're the one setting the rhythm, when you're consistent, calm, and not thrown off by her shifts, she notices. She might not admit it out loud, but something inside her respects it. It creates a sense of stability and unpredictability at the same time. You're not rushing to meet her pace, and you're not slowing down to avoid pressure. You're moving to your own beat. That's what makes a woman miss you. When you're not reacting to every move she makes. When your energy stays steady. When your life, your schedule, your emotions don't get thrown off just because she didn't text back in 2 hours or she seemed a little distant. That's when she starts to wonder why you're not chasing, why you're not adjusting to her every shift. That curiosity becomes emotional tension, and that tension is exactly what keeps you on her mind. A lot of guys get stuck because they confuse interest with pursuit. They think if they don't respond immediately, she'll lose interest. But it's not about playing games. It's about not losing yourself. When you're chasing her rhythm, you're showing her that she leads. But when you stay grounded in your own pace, you show her that your life doesn't revolve around her mood or her attention. That's powerful. And deep down, she respects the man who doesn't flinch, the man who doesn't rush to fix the energy or fill the silence, because that silence is where the emotional weight builds. That's where the missing happens. She needs that space to feel the absence, but if you keep showing up too quickly, you don't give her a chance to realize what she's losing. So the next time you feel that urge to speed things up, pause. Ask yourself, am I moving on my own terms, or am I following her lead without even realizing it? Because the man who sets the rhythm is always in control, not of her, but of himself. And that's the kind of man she remembers. 7. Make your absence felt. This is where most men completely miss the point. They think being missed is about pulling away, going silent, or waiting for her to notice they're gone. But here's the truth. If your presence didn't leave an impact, your absence won't either. Silence only works when you were actually felt in the first place. Otherwise, it's just noise she doesn't notice is missing. Too many men try to disappear before they've made any real impression. They go quiet hoping she'll chase, but there's nothing to chase. No weight, no presence, no emotional impact. And then they wonder why she moved on like nothing happened. It's not because she's heartless. It's because you were forgettable. If that stings, good. It should. Because this is where you need to wake up. You can't keep showing up halfway and expect women to feel your absence, like you're irreplaceable. You've got to actually mean something when you're there. You have to carry yourself like your time matters. Like your energy isn't something she gets just because she's pretty or gives you attention. That's how you build emotional gravity. and only then can you pull back and let her feel what it's like to be without it. A man who brings nothing to the table can't pull anything off it. And yet, a lot of guys expect women to chase them just because they stop texting. It doesn't work like that. If you want your absence to echo, your presence needs to hit different. You have to show up with intention, with standards, with boundaries, with self-respect. When you do, even your silence carries weight. Even your distance says something. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to justify it. She feels it. But that only happens if you stop being passive. If you stop thinking that being a nice guy who sticks around quietly will eventually pay off. It won't. That's not what women miss. They miss strength. They miss certainty. They miss the emotional tension that comes from a man who knew how to walk away with dignity, not desperation. So here's the bottom line. Make your presence matter, so your absence means something. That's how you create space she can feel. That's how you stop being overlooked. And that's how you become the man she remembers. Not because you vanished, but because when you left, something shifted inside her. If you've been fading into the background, now is the time to step forward and own your presence. Because only then will your absence have the power to move her. The truth is, if a woman never misses you, it's because she never truly respected you in the first place. That might be hard to hear, but it needs to be said. A woman who respects you will always feel your absence. She'll notice when your energy is gone. She'll think about what you brought to the table, not because you begged for her attention, but because you didn't hand it out carelessly. So many men are out here trying to make women miss them by doing more, showing more, proving more. But it's not about adding, it's about withdrawing the right way. Pulling back with power, not out of fear. That's what creates emotional impact. That's what makes her think. And that's when she starts to wonder, what if I never get that again? If anything I said in this video hit you, if you've ever been in a situation where you gave too much and got nothing in return, I want to hear from you. Drop your experience in the comments. I read everything. I respond personally. You're not alone in this, and I've been exactly where you are. This channel isn't about preaching. It's about building men up, one honest conversation at a time. So if you're ready to become unforgettable, start by being willing to walk away. Let her feel it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.